Good evening and welcome to Curtain Call, our theater all about our podcast all about theater. From the page to the stage, from the players to the playhouses, we're going to explore the stories that bring you the stories that you see on stage when you go out for live entertainment and the performing arts on the stage in theater. And we are so happy to be back with you today discussing theater. We've had some good shows in the past. There's a lot of theater going on here in Detroit. We had shows all this past weekend. Uh, there's a stranger in my house was this past weekend. A number of shows. I went to see All Hell at the DIA this past weekend, featuring Mosaic Youth Theater. The show story that was about Julius Caesar. They did an outstanding job. Those young people put a lot of energy and creativity and effort into that show, and it was well done and well received. So we're gonna just keep bringing theater to you. We're gonna promote theater as we go throughout this year. The theater not only here in Detroit, but across the country and whenever we can around the world. So this evening, we're bringing a guest to you that has done theater, uh, but she is originally a singer and an outstanding singer, a long established singer here in the city of Detroit. And of course, there's a lot of symmetry, a lot of crossover with singers and acting on the stage and doing theater. Most people who do theater can sing. I'm one who can't, but most people who do theater have the ability to sing and can do live musicals and that sort of thing. And so we are fortunate to have with us today a singer who has done theater and established herself not only as a person who can act and sing, but write as well. And so we're going to get into her life, her history, her story, and let her tell you all about herself. So at this time, welcome Diane Mathis, our singer, actress, producer, songwriter, and playwright. Welcome, Diane, to Curtain
Thank
Call.
you, Mr. Douglas. I am so excited and honored to be here with you because I have worked under your tutelage
Oh,
and
okay.
you directed a play that I wrote.
Mm,
So I know how fantastic you are. And
mm,
I am so excited to be sitting here talking to you because it's been a long time since we've seen each other. But
It has been a
I
while.
have such great memories of working with you. So
Thank you.
that's been fantastic.
Thank you. It's always good to work with good people, with good people who are not just good in terms of the work that they do, but just good people with good spirits and good personalities. And Diane is one of those people.
Thank you.
Diane, we go back to uh, a
Yes.
play called Family Love
Yes,
that I wrote,
absolutely.
and you played the grandmother in
Yes, I did.
and sang a song that was a showstopper,
Yes, it was.
a couple of showstoppers.
Hmm.
Um, one that I think I want to just mention this while I'm on the air. Uh, one of the songs you sang, which was a beautiful song, was written by uh, uh, Bishop Earl Wright Jr. And Earl Wright
Okay.
passed this past
Oh no,
Saturday.
I'm so sorry to hear
Yeah, he
that.
passed this Saturday, and want to give our condolences to his family, his wife, and
Absolutely.
his family. He had written a song for Family Love, and I just absolutely love that song, and I love the way you delivered that
Oh,
song.
thank you so
And so we
much.
give our heartfelt condolences to the Wright
Absolutely.
Earl Wright family,
Yeah.
Earl Wright Jr.'s family. But Family Love, and then you also did the Sam Cooke play
Yes.
that we did a few years ago. Everything's getting to be quite a few years ago
Right, right,
now. All right.
right.
So, Diane,
Yes.
as with all my guests, we always like to go back to the beginning and discover how you became an entertainer, how you became a singer, a dancer, all the things that you have done over your career. So why don't you take us back to the beginning, give us some idea how you got started, and there's some interesting stories because you go back to places that um, Golden World, which I wrote about in one of my plays that hadn't been produced yet.
Okay.
But Yeah, just get us started
Okay.
in the life of Diane Mathis.
Well, it actually started, Mr. Douglas, as a young girl at 4 years old
Mm.
because the Mickey Mouse Club came on
Well,
TV.
yeah, I was a big fan of Mickey Mouse.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
My father took me to the store and bought me some Mickey Mouse ears, and
Hmm.
every day at 4 o'clock in 1955, it came on television.
Hmm.
And when I saw those kids dancing and singing, it struck something inside of me.
Hmm.
But I already had been singing with my family. The first song I ever learned how to sing harmony with my family at 4 years old was Sentimental Journey.
Okay.
And actually, I learned how to sing harmony. My whole family could sing. My mother had the most beautiful soprano voice.
Hmm.
My father was a tenor and he played a ukulele. And this crazy song he used to sing all the time, Miss Froggy Went a Courtin'. It was the silliest song, but my
Hmm.
father's voice was so beautiful
Hmm.
and he was so animated.
Hmm.
My father was, he was the kind of person that always liked to, be in the midst of stuff.
Hmm.
Family reunions, Christmas dinners, all this kind of stuff. He would act like he was shy, but he would like to get up and just clown. And
Hmm.
everybody loved Uncle Jack. So
Okay.
that was my first experience singing. So at 4 o'clock every day, I would climb up on top of the TV. My father bought a month's TV. It was a huge thing with a little bitty screen like this and had a
Hmm.
little plastic sheet over it, blue, yellow, green,
Right.
and
I
red.
was
It was the
getting color
stupidest thing.
TV. Right.
But it was the stupidest thing because faces might be red one day or blue the next day. So when I saw those kids, I said, "Oh, I want to be on TV like them." So
Mm-hmm.
I started climbing up on the TV. And my mother would spank me every single day. And she said, "Get your behind off that TV, or you're going to fall and break your neck."
Hmm.
But it was something in me. I felt like if I was on TV and I could see myself in the shadow box mirror that she had up there,
Hmm.
that I was on TV with the kids.
Okay.
So one day she just decided, okay, I'm not going to spank you anymore because you're not going to stop getting on that TV. So at 4 o'clock, I was on stage
Okay.
every single day. I loved it.
Hmm.
And then, unfortunately, my mother passed away when I was 7. So then I kind of just, nothing was inspirational to me. I didn't understand my mother's death because it was so tragic.
Hmm.
But my father would take me to the Elks Club with him on Warren and 23rd because
Okay.
there was a lady there that was upstairs teaching dance. And
Hmm.
my father would take me to Angot Records on Saturday to buy records for the jukebox.
Hmm.
So I would hear the music on the jukebox, but then I started hearing this music I had never heard before. So I started climbing up the stairs and sitting on the stairs and watching. She had
Hmm.
all these cute little dresses. They had the tutus and the tights and the leotards all matched. Everything was either white, pink, black.
Hmm.
And so I was mesmerized with that because I'd never seen anything like that.
Hmm.
So every time I go up there, when she would get close to the door, I'd run back downstairs.
Hmm.
And one day she stopped me and she said, "Why don't you come in here?" And I said, "Oh, I can't dance like your kids." And she said, "Yes, you can. You be down there dancing to the jukebox, doing the same thing that you see up here." So she made me come into the room and she put on Swan Lake and she said, "I just want you to dance." And so I did. I did everything I saw her kids do. And she
Hmm.
grabbed me by my hand and took me downstairs. Now I'm thinking, now I'm in trouble.
Hmm.
And my father's standing behind the bar, stacking beers and stuff. And she shouted out to him, "Mr. Hogan's, I need to talk to you." And he turned around and looked at her and he said, "What you want to talk to me for?"
Hmm.
And she said, "Your daughter needs to be in my dance class on Saturdays instead of down here with you and your drunk friends." That's
Hmm.
exactly how she said it.
Hmm.
And he looked at her like, "How dare you speak to me like that?" But what she was doing was letting him know that I had some kind of talent that she wanted to nurture.
Hmm.
So she took me to Metropolitan. It was a place over near Crowley Miller's and they had all kind of dance costumes, leotards, tap shoes, everything. She
Hmm.
took me over there. She told him, "You gonna give me some money, and I'm gonna buy her everything she needs." And she bought me
Wow.
a pink, white, and a black leotard, tights, tutu,
Hmm.
and ballerina slippers, tap shoes, and everything. And every Saturday, I was there at 11 o'clock taking
Hmm.
tap ballet. We were there all day. She take me to get my hair done, my nails done,
Hmm.
and she just kind of nurtured me. And she just told me that she saw something in me and she wanted to help me out because my father didn't know what to do with me.
Hmm.
So that's how I got started dancing.
Hmm.
But she was an amazing woman because she had a modeling agency. She had 10 black models and she traveled all around. And every time she would do something, she would kind of incorporate me in it, but she didn't know I could sing. and how I got started singing. Well, actually, how I got started singing was she took me to Cresty, and they had a Patty Playpal doll, and you hold her hand, and she would walk.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just mesmerized by this doll, but of course it was a white doll,
Mm-hmm.
with the curly blonde hair and all that. And I said, "Oh, I would love to have that." And she said, well, "Maybe one day you can get it." So I'm thinking, I'm gonna get that doll one of these days. So guess what? My father asked me, "What did I want for Christmas?" I said, "Marry Miss Davis." And he looked at me and he said, "Are you crazy? I'm not marrying that woman. She's too hoity-toity." That was his words for her describing her. She's hoity-toity.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "What does that mean?" He said, "She's uppity." And I said, "No, she's not, Daddy. She's a really nice lady. Look at she got my hair done. She got my nails done. She treats me like I'm a princess." And they got married the
Okay.
next year.
Okay.
So here I am seeing this doll. One day the doll comes to my
Mm.
house
Okay.
after they got married. And my Uncle Henry kept passing by the dining room because I took the doll out the box, took her hair net off, started combing her hair, took her dress off, put it back on.
Mm.
And he looked at me, he said, "Are you crazy? How you know that doll belongs to you?" I said, "I know it is because I asked her one day, could I have it?" And she said, "We'll see." So he said, "You're going to be in trouble because you wouldn't took that box and opened it up without permission." Then it got close to the time she was coming home from work, and I got scared because he kept
Yeah.
coming by the dining room, and you going to get in trouble. So, Mr. Douglas, I took that doll and put it back in the box, and I couldn't find anything but some scotch tape. And I
Mm.
scotch taped that box up and put it back in the dining room. And she came home from work with her joyful self, like she always came home. And she used to call me Twinkle because she said when I get excited, my eyes would light up. And so she said, "Hi, Twinkle, how was your day today?" And I said, "Oh, it was really nice," but I didn't say nothing about the doll. So she says to me, "Did I get a special package today?" And my eyes got this big because I was like, "Oh, Lord, I don't know what to say." I didn't want to lie,
Mm.
but I was afraid. I didn't know what she would say or how she would respond. And my Uncle Henry standing over in the corner looking at me, shaking his head like, I was like, "Oh my God." This is what she said. She asked me 3 times, "Did she get anything special?" And I said, "I don't think so. I don't think so." She came back the third time and she said, "You know what? I'm disappointed in you because you did not tell me the truth." I said, "What? What you?" She said, "You opened my box
Mm.
and you opened my box without permission." And Mr. Douglas, my heart sank in my chest because she had never raised her voice at me. She had never spanked me or anything. So she told me, "Go in your room," and she said, "You're going to get a spanking." And I
Oh.
said, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." So what happened was she had bought me this old, it was like a curio cabinet that closed up, but it was 3 mirrors. It was like a little dressing table. Had the little tough seat, the bed velvet inside it, the knobs were gold, and she had refurbished it herself. That was
Mm.
something she liked to do as well as design costumes and all this. And she said, "I am so disappointed in you." And she said, "I'm gonna have to spank you." And she took my record player out. I had a little portable record player. I had the little transistor radio.
Mm.
She took all that out. She said, "The only thing you can do is eat and read and go to bed." And I was devastated. So I'm sitting in this mirror. And I made up a song nobody knows.
Mm.
And she came in the room and she said, "Didn't I tell you I didn't want any music in here? I told you didn't get. I thought you gave me everything." I said, "There's no music in here." She said, "Well, I heard singing." I said, "That was me." And she said, "Sing it again." And I sang it again. And she looked at me. She said, "Oh my God, you can dance and you can sing. I got plans for you." That's how I got started
Okay.
singing at
Okay.
fashion shows with her.
Okay.
That is how I got started.
Okay. Put you on stage right away.
Yes, right away. Right
Okay.
away. Absolutely.
Okay. So, an interesting story for me is first, let me just say you're watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest TV station in the world, streaming to you live on Facebook and YouTube. So, give us a like, make a comment, subscribe, tell your family and friends. And if you know people who are doing theater and interested in getting their name out there, let them know about us and let us know about them. If you got theater going on somewhere in the city of Detroit, give us a call here at WJZZ Cool TV and let us know what you got going on. We'll talk it up for you and we'll get you on and give you some exposure. So, again, you're watching WJZZ Cool TV. Give us a thumbs up. Coming to you live on Facebook and YouTube. Now, uh, around the time that Motown got started and was getting its wheels under it and growing and growing strong, you were signed to another label that was coming along at the same time. Tell us about that.
Yes, I was. Ziggy Johnson, who
Hmm.
was a writer for the Michigan Chronicle, was friends with my stepmother.
Hmm.
And so he called her and told her, because I was taking dance with him, and he called her and told her that Mr. Wingate, that owned Golden World Record,
Hmm.
was looking for a female lead vocalist because they had a trio, but they didn't have a substantial lead vocalist. And they were looking at somebody that could, command the
Hmm.
leads and all that. So he told her, take me over there. So she did. She took me over to Golden World Records,
Hmm.
and I auditioned, and the girls were so funny to me because they were, I thought they were much older than me. They really weren't. They were like 2 years older than me,
Hmm.
but they were more mature, because I was only 14 when I started going over there.
Okay.
But I had been doing shows.
Hmm.
I was going to the Chit Chat Lounge,
Oh.
singing. Yes,
Hmm.
I was going to the that was with Martha Steinberg.
Okay.
And
Martha Jean the
yes,
Queen.
Martha Jean the Queen. I went to school with her girls.
Okay.
So I was going there on Wednesday nights, and I was also going to the Hobby Bar, which was right down the street
Hmm.
on Linwood before you get to Davidson. And
We're
Rudy
talking
Robinson,
Detroit history, people.
that's right. Rudy Robinson was the keyboard player there, and she would take me. I couldn't sit nowhere near the bar. I could sit in the chair
Hmm.
and drink a little it's cherry 7 Up and some grenadine in it. And
Hmm.
and then they would let me come up and sing. And I was singing songs like The Masquerade is Over and Drowning My Own Tears. All these songs were by Stevie Wonder when he did a dedication to Ray Charles. So I
Okay.
had that album,
Okay.
and I listened to that album daily, and I
Hmm.
learned all these torch songs.
Hmm.
And so even at my age, being so young, you know, I had a command of the audience, and
Hmm.
I guess I was like an anomaly because I was so young,
Hmm.
and they would let me come up and sing, and I got a rave review. And what really made me feel great was when they would clap so loud and let her sing another song, but they said
Hmm.
no, she can only do these 3 songs, and then she got to get out of here.
Hmm.
So my stepmother, bless her heart, she would take me, sit there, let me do my thing, and then she'd take me back home. But when
Okay.
I went to Golden World, I sang Misty,
Hmm.
and the girls, they were so funny. They looked at me and they said, "Well, we have to go to our office and have a meeting to figure out if they wanted me to be
Hmm.
part of their group." Mr. Douglas, the office was the girls' bathroom.
Ah.
And so I had to go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom and I heard them in there just cackling and talking and, well, yeah, we got to get her. And so they were coming out as I was going into the bathroom, and I was thinking to myself, they probably, I didn't know what they were really thinking or saying because they
Hmm.
weren't talking to me. They went in there to talk to each other to
Hmm.
figure out whether they wanted me. And they acted real cool. They came on out and they said, "Oh, Mr. Wingate, we'd like to talk to you." And so I had to go to the bathroom, went in there, I was on pins and needles. I want to be with this group because
Hmm.
I had heard their records on the radio. They
Okay.
had a song I called "Any Meeny Gypsy," and it was like a almost like a hand jive song,
Hmm.
and it was playing on the radio, and they were getting a lot of airplay, and they were
Hmm.
doing a lot of gigs around the city of Detroit with the what they call the sock hops.
Hmm.
So when Mr. Wingate said, "Okay, girls, what's the determination?" And they jumping up and down. We want her, Mr. Yeah, we want her, Miss. Yeah, we want her, Mr. Wingate, because she can really sing.
Hmm.
And that's how I got signed. And
Okay.
the first song that they had for us to do, as me being the lead, two guys came to the studio, Robert Staunton and Robert Walker, and they brought this song in, How's Your New Love Treating You?
Hmm.
And it was an amazing, fantastic song. But the thing was, I had never recorded before,
Hmm.
and I was so nervous because the whole band was in the recording booth.
Hmm.
You could not miss a note. You had to come in exactly on time, on pitch.
Hmm.
You had to know the song backwards and forward. And Mr. Staunton really trained us to sing this song. He
Hmm.
said, "You have a beautiful voice, you have a range, but you got to be on pitch and you
Hmm.
cannot make any mistakes. Don't start laughing and none of that kind of stuff." So, I was on. Oh my God, this is
Mm-hmm.
my first time recording. I don't know what. What if I get in there and mess up,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Douglas? I went in there and sang that song.
Mm-hmm.
I never ever recorded anything before that. We did it one take.
Great.
It was perfect.
Great.
And the musicians were like, this kid is 14 years old and
Mm.
singing like this. But it was something I just know I just knew I was supposed to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to sing. I
Mm-hmm.
really did.
Okay. I like to take any opportunity that I can on this show to expose history,
Hmm.
especially our history. And
Absolutely.
so I don't think a lot of people, everybody knows about Motown because
Yes.
Motown went on to become Motown.
True.
What happened with Golden World? Because
Well,
it
I'm gonna tell you what I know because I was there.
mm-hmm,
Mr. Wingate had something that was truly amazing
mm-hmm,
because he had so many acts. He had a group had a song out which is one of the first million seller songs, just like Romeo and Juliet. That was a million seller for them.
okay,
The Holidays, I Love You Forever.
mm-hmm,
But it ended up being Edwin Starr singing the song, even though Maurice Tony Gray wrote the song.
mm-hmm,
He and his friends, who were the Holidays, was Robert Butch and Tony. They wrote the song, came up here from Mississippi because they heard Eeny Meeny on the radio,
mm-hmm,
and they said, "We want to come to Detroit." But they didn't necessarily want to go to Motown because Motown was already established and saturated,
mm-hmm,
and they didn't think that they would get, you know, sign on because sometimes they would sign you on, but it's to sign you on to silence you.
yeah,
That's what it was going on.
mm-hmm,
Edwin Starr came from Golden World. The late great Pat Lewis came from Golden World. Patsy Lewis sang with Isaac Hayes with Hot Butter So she did all the vocal arrangements.
mm-hmm,
She sang for some of everybody, just like the Debonaires sang for some of everybody. I
mm-hmm,
mean, the Spinners, the Manhattans, all the see. A lot of people don't know the history what Golden World did
mm-hmm,
because it brought in talent, just like Motown.
mm-hmm,
Now, unfortunately, they didn't have a Miss Maxine Powell there,
mm-hmm,
but they had an elegance because Mr. Wingate was not for any foolishness. It
mm-hmm,
was serious for him to do
mm-hmm.
this recording company. So he had the holidays. The dramatics started off at Golden World.
Okay.
Their first song was Bingo, Love Has a Winning Hand.
Mm.
And they misspelled the name on the record and said the dramatics.
Mm.
But their name was something else that somebody else had already had, so they couldn't use it anyway.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's how they became the dramatics. But that was their first song. Ron Banks was one of the I grew up with Ron Banks. He lived around the corner from me when I was growing up. So I kind of knew some of the dramatics when they were at Golden World.
Mm-hmm,
Like I said, the Edwin Starr, he had songs, you know, SOS, sending out a message.
mm-hmm,
So Golden World was Mr. Wingate's baby because he felt like he had just enough. And Orthea Bond's brother was there, J.J. Barnes. He was a
okay.
heck of a singer and a writer.
Mm-hmm,
Now Motown took him as a writer, but J.J. didn't want to go as a writer. He wanted to be a singer, but they kept saying he was too close to Marvin Gaye, which
okay.
I never saw that. And
Mm.
then they had Tony Hester, who was writing some of the songs, pretty much all the songs for the dramatics.
Okay.
Hey, you get off my mountain, all those kind of songs. So
Mm.
there were hits coming from Golden World.
Mm-hmm,
So Motown decided Mr. Wingate had to go because he had the horses, the numbers, the hotel that was on the premise of the 20 Grand Hotel,
mm-hmm,
and he had the horse race and all. He had all those things going on.
mm-hmm.
So you can't have everything. So they said no record. So they bought us out or
Really?
kicked us out pretty much. Sure, that's the truth.
Okay.
I was there the day that the guys came. I thought about them. They looked like the men in black. They had
Wow.
on the hats and the glasses and the black suits. And they demanded to speak to Mr. Wingate the next day. I know Mr. Wingate because we were in the studio getting ready to go to the Apollo. We were being groomed to go to the Apollo with the holiday.
Okay.
That's what we thought we were getting ready to do. And then these guys come in. Mr. Wingate calls everybody in the studio and said, "Sorry, boys and girls, Golden World is closed." And
Wow.
everybody's looking at each other like, what? I couldn't believe it. But that was
Wow.
the end of that era. But we moved over with LeBaron Taylor, who became the president of CBS Records.
Okay.
Um, there was a guy from WGPR radio station, George White. Um, also, um, George Clinton and LeBaron Taylor. Oh, I said that. Don Davis. They
Okay.
formed another record company.
I've heard of
And
Don
we
Davis.
moved. Don Davis was with Stax and did all kind of stuff.
Hmm.
So we moved over to that recording company, and we recorded 6 songs with George Clinton.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
we did. As the Debonaires, we
Okay.
did. So,
Yeah, I remember when I directed your play.
hmm
There were a couple of actresses from that were in that were, I believe they had been Brides of Frankenstein.
yes,
Yeah,
that's
I
right.
forget that.
Shirley Hayden.
Shirley Hayden,
That's
right,
right.
and Ping,
Yeah, Pink
Ping,
Spells.
yeah, right. Yeah, that I
Absolutely.
thought that was an interesting
Yes,
interesting experience, and
yes, it
we're
was.
gonna talk
Yes, it
about we're
was.
gonna talk about that show. So, uh, theater.
hmm
How did you transition? Uh, it's usually not a transition when singers go into theater. It's usually in addition to singing.
Well,
So,
that's true, Mr. Douglas. I actually did my first play when I was at Thurgood Elementary School,
mhm,
HMS Pinafore.
okay.
It was a big production that came to the school. You know, sometimes big productions come to schools
Mhm.
if they have a school of arts and theaters, which
Mhm.
Thurgood Elementary did have. And I had a teacher, Mr. Braun. He was my math teacher. But Mr. Braun was German. And so I sang in the Christmas program, Old Christmas Tree, which was Old Tannenbaum.
Mhm.
He taught me to sing it in German, and I don't remember a word of it in German, but
Okay.
that's what I sang. I was in the third grade.
Okay.
And when I did that, the people that came in for HMS Pinafore said they wanted me to be in the play.
Mhm.
So I did. I did that in the third grade. And then we had a competition at the school for Safety Week.
Mhm.
And so the teachers, Miss, oh my God, I love my auditorium teachers, Miss Madeline Forbes and Miss Pearl Green. And they told me that we were having a competition in the school
Mhm.
for Safety Week. So I used to do puppet shows in my backyard when we lived on Pingree.
Mhm.
My father would make Polish sauces. We had the Jiffy Pop popcorn,
Mhm.
and I sold little bags of popcorn 5 cents. And we made cookies, and my dad made Kool Aid.
Mhm.
And I would do my little puppet shows. I had some sock puppets that I sold eyes on, and I had this big clown head puppet. And
Mhm.
the outfit was kind of raggedy, so I made a new one. And I used that as the spirit of safety.
Okay.
So I had my little puppets, and he would fly over and he would say, "Stop, look both ways, don't
Mhm.
cross the street until you are told it's safe."
Mhm.
I'll never forget that. I won $50. That was my first time writing something that
Mhm.
was performed.
Okay.
I was in the third grade.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
That's
So
how I got started with the little acting and stuff.
okay. Okay. So it came along all at the same time.
Yes, it
The singing,
did.
the dancing, and then I know
Acting
about
all together.
and the acting
That's right.
all at the same time.
It did.
Um, you are watching Curtain Call on WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest TV station in the world, coming to you, streaming to you live on Facebook and YouTube. So look us up every Monday at 5 o'clock. And while you're watching us, give us a thumbs up, make some comments, tell us what you think, call in, ask questions. Tell the people in your family and your friends all about Curtain Call because we're all about theater. We're all about promoting theater in the city of Detroit, the state of Michigan, in the United States of America. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, we had a young man on from Atlanta. So we hope you enjoyed that show. So we're just about exposing and our country, our people to theater, our audience to theater. In fact, if you're watching, you are a theater person. So we appreciate having you watch our show every Monday from 5 o'clock to 5:50. So again, give us a thumbs up, give us a comment. Even if you got a critique, tell us what we can do better. But tune in and watch us. Again, you're watching WJZZ Cool TV Curtain Call on the coolest TV station in the world. Okay, Diane.
hmm
Uh, as as your singing career goes
hmm
and your theater career goes,
hmm
Uh, did you do plays before you did Family Love?
Yes, I did. I
Okay.
did. I did a play in 1998, and it was called What's Going On. And
Hmm.
I did it at the Millennium Theater. I had a
Okay.
lead role, and I had
Okay.
a song that I sang in it. It was an amazing play. It really was.
Okay.
I did a couple other plays. Oh, I did a lot of theater down at Wayne State University because I was
Okay.
going to school at Wayne State. I did a play called Karma's Lunch, and I played like five different characters.
Oh, okay.
I did, and it was that was interesting. The
Hmm.
costume changing, personality changing.
Right.
But the biggest play that I did at Wayne State was God, I can't think of the name of it, but my character was Tomorrow Marie.
Tomorrow, Marie.
Yes, and it was a well-known play. I just can't think of the name of it right off the bat. But I was 21 years old. I will never forget this because it was my 21st birthday,
Hmm.
and I was the assistant director.
Okay.
And the young lady that was supposed to be the lead, her grandmother passed away,
Mm.
and so the guy who was the director, his name was Anthony Johnson, and he says she's got to leave and go down to North Carolina or South Carolina. It was one of the South of North Carolina, and I said, "We open tonight? What you mean?" He
Mm.
said, "You know all the lines. You got to do the lines." I'm like, "Are you crazy? I'm
Mm.
the assistant director." He said, "You gonna be the actress tonight."
Mm.
And I
Wow.
said, "Oh my God!" I was terrified
The
because I
show
mean I
must go
knew it.
on.
The
Yep.
show had to go on. I knew every line, but
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't prepared to be the lead
Yes, you
character.
were.
But you know what was so funny, Mr. Douglas? I was married at the time,
Mm.
and my husband did not come to the play, and I was very upset with him
Mm.
because this is my first time taking on this lead role. I was the extra, or maybe I was the alternate person,
Mm.
but this time I had to take on the whole role.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Douglas, I'm telling you, it was the craziest thing because I had on these red and white. Remember the black and white shoes that girls used to wear
Mm.
growing up? Well, I had on red and whites, and it was in the 70s, so it had like a wedge heel. And I tied it too tight, and I couldn't get the shoe off. I had to take my shoes off of what I was doing, and
Mm.
I couldn't get the one shoe off. So I'm walking around like this, one up,
Wow.
one down, one up. And the audience thought it was part of the production, but it wasn't. I just couldn't get my shoe off, so I
Mm.
just played it off,
Yeah.
and we got a standing ovation. So now I'm mad at my husband. So
Mm.
I go home and the house is pitch black, no lights on, no nothing. I'm like, what in the world is going on? So I go in the house and I put my key in the door, and it's all dark inside, and I'm like, this is my birthday. This is my 21st birthday, and he ain't nowhere to be found. And I went to the kitchen and I heard like chitter chatter. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? So I turned the basement light on, and all the cast was in the basement
Oh,
at
okay.
my birthday party, my surprise birthday party.
Okay.
I couldn't believe it. But that was, I wish I could think of the name of the play, but that was an amazing play. And that was my character, Merle Marie. I
Okay.
remember that name. I just don't remember the name of the play.
Okay. Okay. I know. I remember. Actually, I don't remember uh, how you came to audition for Family Love.
I don't either. I have no remembrance how or why I came to
Mm-hmm.
the play.
Because I had been using a young lady that had played the role. Uh, I had done it a few times,
Hmm.
and I forget who. I think I can't remember any of.
Was it was did I remember you telling me it was like somebody major that had played the role.
Oh well, when we did it at the music hall,
Hmm.
um, because we did it at the music, we did Family Love at the music hall in 1997, and the person who played the grandmother was Vanessa Bell Armstrong.
Right, and I love Vanessa Bell
Right, right,
Armstrong.
and so she did. She sang that song
Hmm.
that Earl Wright wrote,
Right.
and then she sang one of her own song, uh, nobody but Jesus,
Okay.
and
Okay.
turned it out.
I know
You
she
turned
did.
it
I
out.
love her.
Yeah, and we also had Roger E. Mosley, who did
Oh, really?
the grandpa,
Okay.
yeah, and Allison Williams, who played the mother,
Okay.
and Sherelle, who played the daughter. And I'm not
Oh,
going to say
okay.
anything else about that. And the young man who played Al Bolden, you remember Al Bolden,
Yeah.
was Tony Grant.
Oh my My
Tony Grant, who is right
goodness.
now the lead singer of
I
the
know.
of the
I
Temptations.
love him. I just
Yeah,
saw him a couple months
right,
ago.
right. And so he was our young man out of Chicago, uh, uh, something Ford, Kevin Ford
Okay.
played Tony,
Okay.
and it was a good production. It was a good production. It just so happened that the promoters at the time were looking for a particular formula,
Okay.
and my play didn't fit the formula.
What's the formula?
They wanted someone over the top. They wanted it. They wanted the play to have kind of like slapstick humor,
I don't
the
like that.
over the top humor. They wanted to
I
make
don't
the
like
grandfather, but basically a buffoon character.
that. Oh
They
no.
wanted me to put
Why
the
did they
son on
expect that?
drugs, and they wanted to change the name from Family Love to the Kitchen Table.
Oh
And
no.
of course, the music was already good. So
Right. The music is
the music was
wonderful.
good. They liked the music. They actually had a playwright, a writer, Angela Dunlap,
Mm.
read the play to tell me how to change it to make it what they wanted for the stage. She read the play and told them it didn't need to be changed at all. and,
It did not,
and
because
then
it was a
they had
great
right,
production.
and they had Lizzie Barry listen to the music, and she didn't change the music. So we knew we had a good show,
Hmm.
but it wasn't
They
what
wanted.
the promoters wanted to sell.
That's so silly.
Yeah. So, but that's a little bit of history there. But the play we can continue to do the play, and then you
Well,
came
I
along.
tell you, I enjoyed doing that play.
Hmm.
And Mike White,
Mike White, that's
with
my
his
grandpa.
amazing, crazy self,
Hmm.
Mike really took me to another place because Mike loves to ad lib.
Hmm.
And I would follow him, if you remember.
Hmm.
And he told me, and he says it all. He every time I see him, he calls me Elizabeth.
Hmm.
He said, "You are the only person that could follow when I would do what I do." He said, "How did you do that?" I said, "I don't know. I just knew what you did was crazy, so I had to follow what you did to keep up."
Hmm.
So that was the best experience for me because I learned how to be off the cuff
Hmm.
and follow somebody that was doing something that was not a part of the script. And
Hmm.
that's not easy to do, especially if you don't know how to follow.
Hmm.
But I guess I'm spontaneous enough that I could keep up with him.
Hmm.
And I loved every moment of that. And I am so proud of some of the people that I have known through you that have gone on to celebrity status, like
Hmm.
George.
Like George.
Lord, I
George
love
is shooting a
George.
movie right now here in Detroit
Is
with
he?
Joe Smith. Right.
I love
Yeah.
him, and I watched that show he's in.
Hmm.
I love him.
Yeah,
He
that
is
show's a good show too.
amazing.
Beauty
Yes,
and
he
Black.
is.
We're
Beauty and
talking
Black.
about George
Yes.
Middlebrook. I'm gonna get him on here.
Yes, George
George,
Middlebrook.
I'm gonna get you on here, bud.
Yes, I
So,
love George.
yeah.
And we communicate on Facebook all the
Hmm.
time. And I tell him how proud I am of him and his
Hmm.
accomplishments and how he's moved forward,
Hmm.
even with K
Hmm.
more.
Right.
Because K was my first Billie Holiday when I first wrote
Oh,
Dudes.
okay.
Yes, she was.
Okay. We got to talk
Absolutely.
about. In fact, let's talk about dudes now.
Okay.
What was your inspiration for? And Kieran is plays the first lady
In the
Victoria
Oval.
on the Oval. So
Oval.
she was in that show as well.
Lord, that girl
Uh,
is so amazing.
hmm.
She is amazing.
Hmm.
Well, Mr. Douglas, and I know this sounds crazy, but this is the honest to God truth how I came up with Dudes.
Hmm.
I was performing at the Fox Theater with a group called Rumpelstiltskin. I was singing. It was the first anniversary of Comcast. And the guy who hired us was a DJ, used to be on the major radio station.
Hmm.
And so when I went to the Fox, that wasn't my first time performing at the Fox. We
Hmm.
weren't on the stage. We were actually on the platform when you come up into the Fox Theater.
Hmm.
But I had been there before because I did a musical with Jim White, who
Hmm.
used to have a dance show on Channel 2
Hmm.
back in the I want to say in the early 80s.
Okay.
And so I did the role of Tammy Terrell.
Okay.
So that was my first time being at the Fox, and I saw all these names on the wall. I said, next time I come here, and I'm gonna come here another time. I know this.
Hmm.
I'm putting my name on the wall. So
Hmm.
when Rumpelstiltskin got hired to do that performance for Comcast, I had my little magic marker in my purse. I was ready to put my name on the wall that I actually had performed at the Fox.
Okay.
Mr. Douglas, I'm telling you that I don't care what nobody say, but I'm telling you what I experienced.
Mm-hmm.
I was walking up the stairs to find a space to put my name on the wall,
Mm-hmm.
and the faces of Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, it was like a, I can't explain it no other way. They started like speaking to me and saying, "Tell our story," and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I was freaking out. I
Mm-hmm.
went up to the dressing room and they had the old crank paper towel, the brown paper towel. I wrote down every name that I saw that
Mm-hmm.
came to me and said, "Tell our story.
Mm-hmm.
This is the truth. This is what happened to me." When I got in that dressing room, I was shaking because I was like, I don't even know. I mean, I know these people because I've seen them and I heard them perform, but I don't know their stories. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
nothing about them.
Mm-hmm.
So when we went to Wisconsin, because when we left there, we went straight to Wisconsin to perform at a place that was like this big showroom, and we opened up for Sha Na Na. I went to the library. I got every book of every person that I saw visually
Mm-hmm.
to read about their lives. I got
Mm-hmm.
music. I got DVDs, because I always had my computer with me so I
Mm-hmm.
could watch movies.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the movie Stormy Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Cabin in the Sky. I watched all the movies where these people who came to me spoke to me, and I
Mm-hmm.
said, "Wow, these people are amazing. These black women,
Mm-hmm.
they have done so much to open the doors for me and everybody who is on the stage
Mm-hmm.
now." And they were ostracized because they spoke against the Vietnam War. That was Eartha Kitt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so was Josephine Baker, because she was over
Right.
in France and
Mm-hmm.
she was doing stuff and they were saying she was a communist and
Mm-hmm.
all that was not true. But you know how they marginalize black women.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got all this information about who these characters were,
Mm-hmm.
I said, I got to make this story make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting in my bedroom one night and I couldn't sleep. I just could not sleep. So I got up and I started writing this story. And it came to me as I was leaving the Fox Theater. You ain't paid no dues until you heard my blues. That I kept seeing that when I closed my eyes. I kept hearing that. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, that's my title.
Okay.
Because it speaks. You ain't paid no dues until you understand what I've gone through as a black female entertainer
Mm-hmm.
to open the door for these young girls who have no clue of who these women are and what they
Mm-hmm.
went through and what they sacrificed.
Mm-hmm.
That's how that story came to be. And I will stand on that till the day I die. God gave me that vision so clearly.
Mm-hmm.
The songs came to me
Mm-hmm.
for each one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Everything came to me. I mean, I was in a place where I was 24 hours, I was on my computer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm writing songs. I'm speaking into my little old phone I use as my recorder.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to Robert Jones, who is now gone. I
I remember
love
Robert.
him. I miss him.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Jones is one of the most prolific pianists. He did classical music as
Mm-hmm.
well as rock and roll, and country and pop and hip
Mm-hmm.
hop. And when I would go to him and say, "Rob, I got this idea,"
Mm-hmm.
he'd say, "Okay, sing it." And I would sing it, and then he'd say, "Oh, okay, I got this, I got this." And then he would just come up with the music. The
Mm-hmm.
one song that I really wanted to use was Strange Fruit,
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted Billie Holiday's story. Because
Mm-hmm.
when I found out where Strange Fruit came from,
Right.
it came from Abe Maripol, who was a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
a high school teacher.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote it as a poem. And
Mm-hmm.
then he
Right.
thought about it. He wanted it to be a song. So he reached out to Billie Holiday's people to
Mm-hmm.
ask her if she would sing that song.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, history was made with that song.
Right.
But they told her that she could never sing that song. But she was down in Greenwich Village at
Mm-hmm.
a supper club bar.
Mm-hmm.
She would stand in the middle of the floor at 12 o'clock at night and they would allow her put a spotlight on her and sing it. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, the community said, "Why are you singing this song?
Mm-hmm.
This is a song that's putting a bad light on us
Right.
as white people."
Mm-hmm.
And when I heard that's what this was, and I listened to the lyrical content, I was like, oh my God,
Yep.
this is
Strange fruit.
so amazing what
Right.
this song speaks. So when I that's the only song that I wanted to actually put in the production.
Mm-hmm.
So I called the Morris Agency in New York and I
Mm-hmm.
asked them who owned the publishing on the song.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked me, well, what do you want to do with it? I said, well, I want to put it in a production that I've written. And they said, well, the person who owns the publishing, you have to pay them for
Mm-hmm.
performing their song.
Mm-hmm.
And if you use that song, you could pay up to $15,000 for one performance of it. And I was like, oh, I don't have
Right,
$15,000. I
right,
ain't got $1,500, so
right,
that ain't gonna happen.
right.
So I sat down and I swear I prayed and I said, God, give me a song that would make sense to speak the same sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I came up with man's transgression
Mm-hmm.
because it's the same sentiment of
Mm-hmm.
what Strange Fruit is about. It
Okay.
doesn't sound like it, but the lyrical content
Mm.
speaks of what Strange Fruit is.
Right.
And that's how I came up with that song. And Bobby gave me the most amazing production on the music.
Okay. Um, um, you are watching WJZZ Cool TV, coolest TV station in the world, coming to you live, streaming on Facebook and YouTube. Again, give us a comment, give us a like, tell your family and friends about us. You're watching Curtain Call on WJZZ Cool TV. Now, you were just in a play.
Yes, I
Tell us
was.
about that play, and will it be? Will we get another chance to see that play?
You know what, Mr. Douglas? I don't know because I spoke to Mark Hunter, who wrote the play,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, he's got to get some things fixed, and he said that he wanted to videotape it and maybe distribute it like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what his
What's
plans
it
are.
about?
Well, let me tell you, Mr. Douglas, when I read the script,
Mm-hmm.
it touched me so deeply because it is about the power of forgiveness.
Okay.
And the power of forgiveness is very important in my life
Mm-hmm.
because I had to write about the power of forgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
forgiving my dad for neglecting me as a young girl and telling me that he wasn't sure if he really was my dad. 2 days after my mom passed away, he had to send me over here, there, and everywhere to live with family members.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt abandoned. So I had to learn the power of forgiveness. So when I read this script, I was like, okay, God, you are just taking me right on back to where I
Mm-hmm.
was 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
writing an article about the power. The power of forgiveness is tremendously amazing, and it has to happen in everybody's life.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't forgive, you'll never get to where you need to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because forgiveness is poisonous. Unforgiveness is poisonous to your life,
Right.
your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what this play is about. It's called What's a Man to Do?
Okay.
But each man that's in this story has an issue with their wife or their girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow the characters are all connected
Mm-hmm.
through unforgiveness.
Okay.
So I was the catalyst for forgiveness because I was an angel.
Okay.
And I came back to give the person who needed it the most, who was not forgiving himself for
Mm-hmm.
something that he did because he was drinking and driving and he killed me and his
Mm-hmm.
wife and his baby.
Wow.
So that was a very heavy message.
Mm-hmm.
But the way it was put together and everybody was like at each other's throats, and then they found out that they were connected together.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't know the connection.
Okay.
But believe me, it was powerful.
Okay.
It was
Well,
very powerful.
you're gonna have to keep us informed about
I will.
if that show comes back,
I certainly will.
and any other plays that yet you will be in.
Well,
Um.
not necessarily that I will be in, but I'm writing,
Okay.
and you know Kimberly,
Mm-hmm.
that Eartha Kitt,
Mm-hmm.
she is my partner. We have
Okay.
an organization called Sisters of the Earth,
Right.
and we
Right.
collaborate on different things. And Mr. Douglas, honestly, I'm just not saying this because it's me that's part of it,
Mm-hmm.
but Kimmy is an amazing writer.
Okay.
And she is funny as heck. So we have collaborated on a couple of things.
Okay.
And as we are working on these things and getting our copyrights and things in place,
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying to myself, we have something special
Okay.
because we're not addressing the average thing that you see on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube or Tubi.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing things that are family orientated
Right.
and teaching messages of our past and our history
Okay.
and taking it into the future.
All right.
So that's what we're doing.
Okay, and
Positively.
you will get an opportunity to let our audience know
Oh
all the
yes.
things she's doing, and you know why? Because Diane is going to be our co-host on Curtain Call moving forward as we go into
Yay.
our future as a podcast all about theater. Diane is going to be our co-host, and we're going to talk about theater. We're going to incorporate music. We're going to incorporate writing and everything that's going on in the city. So she'll be able to tell you what she's doing, and I'll be able to tell you what I'm doing as we move forward. So we're glad you joined us today for Curtain Call. Thank you, Diane,
Thank you
for
for
being a
having me.
guest,
Thank
and we're
you.
looking forward to having you on
Me
as
too.
a co-host. And so be sure to stay tuned and watch us. Uh, please check us out next week when our guest will be Jesse Boyd Williams, one of the most preeminent young actors in the city today. So thank you and have a good evening.